Hi and welcome. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. We've done it. We've made it to another week somehow. How did we do it? Who's to say? Are we thrilled that it's Monday? Maybe not. Welcome to the live stream. We're trying something a little bit fun and new today. I'm also currently live on TikTok. Yes, that means right now I am live on YouTube. Where else? Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and now TikTok. I got my TikTok camera right here. So if I'm looking in this direction, I might be looking at that. It's very distracting to have both my face right here and my face right here. And I got comments coming in here and people here on my TikTok. Because if you didn't know that, TikTok is actually my largest platform. I have like 150,000 followers on TikTok, but I haven't posted recently. So hi, if you're here live on TikTok, I'm sorry I haven't been around recently. I'm the lawyer that was reading the Constitution out loud on TikTok. Yeah, that was me. And now I'm going through and I'm like breaking down each section of the Constitution, but then, life happens and I've been busy. So I'm trying to bring this live to TikTok now because I'm doing it. So why not? And I've never done a TikTok live before. So this is a fun new thing. I feel like TikTok live is it's fun because it's a lot more discoverable. Like you'll just be swiping and then all of a sudden you'll see that those people that have that big cauldron of stones that's like rattling and then like they pick stuff out, or like the lady that does the drip art, always live. They're always live. Or the guy that does the like 1920s old baking, always live. So now that's me too. 8:30 every weekday morning I'll be live on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and now TikTok. Welcome. Yes, thank you. We got a comment. Wow, that's very impressive. Streaming on one platform is complicated enough. Yes. It's a lot. And yet we're doing it. We're doing it. So if you're new here, my name is Leeja. I'm a real life lawyer on a mission to demystify the law and how it affects your everyday life. I'm not a journalist and I am not unbiased. I'm just your friend who's a lawyer who likes to read and watch the news and then talk to you about it. So, I read the news so that you don't have to, but you probably still should. If you're watching on YouTube, we got super chat and super stickers currently enabled. Anything you donate goes to helping this channel be what it is and continue to grow. Thank you so much for your support. It is very appreciated. Thank you, Allison, for your super chat. You want to buy a bucket of those jiggly stones? So I don't even understand what's happening on TikTok live with those jiggly stones. What are they doing? What's happening in there? Okay. So we are going to, she's a multi-platform queen. That's right. We're going to jump right in to the news, the latest headlines. Okay. First, let's just say Queen Elizabeth's funeral happening today. I'm saying that because it's literally on every news channel. It would be weird if I didn't mention it. I don't really give a shit, if I'm being honest. I find when anyone dies, it is sad. I don't care about the royal family. I don't understand the draw. I really don't. I don't get it. I don't care. There's a lot to be said about the imperialism of the UK. We had a really interesting and a little heated discussion over on my Patreon Discord chat about the Queen and about how people feel about her death and what she represents. And there's a lot to be said for that. And there's a large discussion that could be had around that. As a country, as a person from a country who is not currently being colonized or recently colonized by Great Britain, I feel like I don't really need to say much about it. Other than that, I'm don't care. Moving on. Okay. Let's see. Right. We are moving. It's Trump o'clock. Hello, Trump o'clock. Never not Trump o'clock. Never not Trump o'clock. We're going to go over, if you're watching on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, or Facebook, it's a little more high tech over here. So I have I have a news story pulled up. So if you want to watch over there, it's fine. If you're here on TikTok, great. Hi, welcome. New York Times did a whole news story just kind of going over what the heck is happening with Trump, where are the investigations into him currently. And I thought, you know what? Let's take a little dive into all the cases currently being investigated regarding Mr. Donald Trump. First, we'll start with Marla Lago. On Friday, the Justice Department filed its appeal up to the 11th Circuit. Okay, so this is how annoying the legal process is and why it's so fucking slow. So they didn't appeal the lower court's decision to appoint the special master. They appealed the lower court's decision not to stay her decision pending appeal. I know, it's annoying. Basically, they're saying, here, I have the whole filing. This is what, if you're watching on anywhere other than TikTok, you can see on the screen right now. This is what a filing looks like in a circuit court of appeals. It's a little bit more fancy. They've got a special font they have to use, a little fancier, a fun thing to see if you've never seen it before. So basically, the DOJ has appealed this up to the 11th Circuit, and they're saying, although the government believes the district court fundamentally erred in appointing a special master and granting injunctive relief, the government seeks to stay only the portions of the order causing the most serious and immediate harm to the government and the public. And that is, one, the order that the judge made in the lower court is restricting the government's review and use of records bearing classification markings, and two, requiring the government to disclose those records for a special master review process. So they're like, we're not going to get into. Oh, if you can hear that, I have a dog. Her name's Moira, and she's here, and you'll hear her. Plaintiff has no claim for the return of these records, which belong to the government and were seized in a court-authorized search. The records are not subject to any possible claim of personal attorney-client privilege, and neither plaintiff nor the court has cited any authority suggesting that a former president could successfully invoke executive privilege to prevent the executive branch from reviewing its own records, which is something we've been talking about. It doesn't make any sense that this judge drew this really weird line around the DOJ saying, like, no, executive privilege. But like, other people who are reviewing the documents for national security purposes, they can keep going. And yet, sorry, I got distracted. Someone just tried to join my live on TikTok. I've never gone live on TikTok before. It's a lot. I'm doing a lot at once. So it doesn't make sense that she's drawing this weird line in the sand that's like, the executive privilege applies to this part of the executive branch, but not this part, because the DOJ is part of the executive branch. So they're appealing that up to the 11th Circuit. No idea when they'll come back with a decision. It's a 29-page filing. It was just filed Friday, so it's probably going to be a while. So that's the latest in the Marla Lago thing. We're still stuck in court, as is Trump's preference. And it's going to be there for a while. All right. What else we got? We got New York State. Yes, New York State is currently investigating Donald Trump. Attorney General Letitia James has been investigating Trump for 3 years, including she took his deposition recently, where he claimed the Fifth Amendment 400 times. He pled the Fifth during that deposition, so useless. And then recently, very recently, like last week, it was reported that they were in discussions to settle, and she declined the settlement offer. She declined it. She did not accept their settlement offer. And the fact that his lawyers are agreeing to negotiate settlement right now is a sign that they maybe think that there is more legal liability there than previously they thought. So that's interesting. Oh, no. Moira. Sorry, my dog is trying to fight with my cat. Because it's a Monday morning. Why else would it be any different? Okay, so that's New York State. Reminder, there's federal, there's state, there's local investigations. There's so many ways one could be investigated. Because we also have Manhattan. The Manhattan District Attorney has been investigating people close to Trump at least. And there's a trial starting on October 24th, on charges of fraud and tax evasion in the Trump organization. Alan Weisselberg has pled guilty to 15 felonies relating to this, and he admitted he conspired with the company to carry out a scheme to avoid paying taxes on lavish perks. Moira, please don't chew on my desk. I just purchased this desk, and you don't pay any rent to live here. Moira, stop it. Ooh, she's being wily today. Y'all got dogs? So he is, he's pled guilty already. There's a trial coming up October 24th into the Trump organization. Trump himself, not a part of that. He's not a defendant in that. But it could pave the way for the New York State case that could bring charges against him. So we'll see. Then we got Fulton County, Georgia. The Attorney General, Fannie T. Willis, has been investigating Trump for that call he made to that Georgia election official. Remember this? Where he was like, could you just find 11,780 votes? And then she's also investigating him and his cronies for other, election fraud things that have happened in Georgia. And that is currently ongoing. And then, of course, we have Congress through the January 6th committee. If you'll remember, they had a series of hearings over the summer, and they're supposed to resume potentially primetime live on September 28th, which is in like a week and a half. Moira, you are driving me absolutely nuts. It's showbiz, baby. We're live. What can you do? She's literally chewing on my desk right now. Moira! No. Sorry. Moving on. January 6th committee could resume on September 28th. You'll remember over the summer, they showcased testimony by Trump's own advisors indicating that he was repeatedly informed that the 2020 election was not stolen, that what he was telling the public was not true, that there was no basis to challenge the outcome, and even that the crowd that he summoned on January 6th included some armed people. And the committee documented just how wide-ranging Mr. Trump's efforts to hold on to power were, how he pressured officials in multiple states, not just Georgia, to change the outcomes. He contemplated declaring martial law and seizing voting machines. He tried to force the Justice Department to intervene, even though he was told there was no case. He plotted with congressional allies to orchestrate fake electors and ultimately sought to strong-arm his own vice president into blocking President Biden's victory, are all things that came out this summer from that January 6th committee. And that could continue. We could continue with more revelations starting September 28th when they reconvene. There is a bug. It is a Monday, isn't it? The January 6th committee can't prosecute him, but they can recommend criminal prosecution, which doesn't have like a ton of weight, but it does put pressure on Merrick Garland to do something. Reminder that it is the ultimate in vengeful irony that Merrick Garland, the man who Obama attempted to put in the Supreme Court, but was blocked by people until Trump could come in. Republicans, till Trump could come in and put someone else in. Now he gets to decide whether or not the DOJ is going to bring any charges against Trump for Marla Lago, for the January 6th committee findings, for everything. So hold on. TikTok live is weird. And I also am, okay, there we go. If you're just joining, I'm live now on TikTok as well as YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. So we're just trying this out. Welcome. I'm happy you're here. Let me look at some comments. That's pretty much where we're at at Trump o'clock. At Trump o'clock. I'm just checking out your comments here. We got more Trump news now than when he was in the White House. True. Correct. Pumped for committee coming back? Same. Go lie down and let Leeja work. Yeah. Yeah, she's being wily this morning. I don't know what. Usually she's pretty chill in the morning time. She likes a nap. Let's see. I bet Moira's a little bit spoiled. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Just looking at all your comments. Anyway, Moira Jingles. That's right. Thanks for joining. We're going to get the fuck out of Trump o'clock because I'm over it. Ooh, listening from Ireland over on TikTok. Thanks for joining. Oh, what are we doing now? What's next? Moving on. We've got, more uplifting news. Hurricane Fiona ripped through Puerto Rico yesterday, knocking out the entire power grid of Puerto Rico. Someone mute her mic. Dude, you're on TikTok live. You just keep swiping. That's how this works. People, am I right? So Hurricane Fiona ripped through Puerto Rico, knocking out the entire power grid. If this sounds familiar, it's because it fucking is. This happened almost 5 years ago on the day with Hurricane Maria. When I was in law school, I wrote a student note, which is just like a long form research paper that got published in the Northeastern University School of Law review journal thing. Just about like the absolute atrocity that is the United States emergency response infrastructure, especially when it comes to places like Puerto Rico, where we have a continued weird colonial holding on this island where the people have no vote, no voice in Washington, and also just systematically has been, stripped of rights and resources. And their power grid is ancient and needs to be rebuilt, and they don't have the money to do it. So this is going to keep happening because they are in the eye of storms going forward forever, and they're just going to keep getting bad. So it's bad. It's bad, my friends. It's no good. Moving on. Yes, we are going to talk about Ron DeSantis. Where's his stupid face? I didn't want this. Yeah, we're going to talk about Ron DeSantis. Attorneys representing the migrants that were flown to Martha's Vineyard last week, which if you've been living under a rock, 50 migrants were just flown from San Antonio, Texas to Martha's Vineyard, being told that they were going to be relocated potentially to Boston. Some of them said that they were going to have jobs, that their paperwork was going to get filled out. Like, they were promised a lot of things. And Ron DeSantis, who's in Florida, by the way, the governor of Florida, claims responsibility for this. I pulled this picture up here if you're watching on YouTube because these are human beings, child humans who Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott and others are using as pawns in their weird political petty scheme to really show the Democratic elites what's what. And Ron's saying, Ronald DeSantis is saying that this migrant relocation, it's just the beginning. We're going to spend every penny of those $12 million of taxpayer dollars that we put aside. We're going to spend $12 million taxpayer dollars to relocate for free immigrants to places where they actually can maybe find shelter and jobs, like Boston and New York and Washington, D.C. For some immigrants, some experts are saying it's actually good. So I guess thanks for putting taxpayer dollars towards helping immigrants. But for the most part, it's also just a petty move and using human lives. And I was just like, I was just taking a little look at federal human trafficking laws just for fun. For legal purposes, this is just a joke, but I was just looking at them. And I was looking at this human trafficking key federal criminal statutes from the Congressional Research Service. And they have this little paragraph at the bottom that says, conduct punishable Here, let me zoom in because this is small. Conduct punishable under human trafficking laws is sometimes punishable under other federal laws. Interesting, including immigration statutes when the victim is a non-citizen. The Immigration and Nationality Act governs the admission, removal, and blah, 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 blah. Okay. In particular, this 8 U.S.C. 1324 criminalizes conduct that involves smuggling aliens into the United States, transporting aliens within the country, or otherwise facilitating unlawfully present aliens to remain in the United States. Smuggled aliens may not necessarily be trafficking victims, but immigration crimes may be relevant to human trafficking activities that involve facilitating an alien's unlawful entry and presence. Criminal liability attaches regardless of whether the smuggling, transportation, or harboring of the alien is for sex acts or forced labor. Violations carry lengthy prison sentences, including enhanced penalties if the conduct was performed for private gain or resulted in injury or death. Some of these migrants had to be hospitalized after they arrived. Other immigration criminal statutes can also apply to trafficking-related activities such as fraud and misuse of visas, permits, and other immigration documents, importation, holding, or keeping of an alien for prostitution or any other immoral purpose, failing to file a factual statement about an alien harbored for purposes of prostitution, and marriage fraud. I just thought that was interesting. No reason. Anyway, so this article from Politico is actually really helpful. It goes over a lot of legal experts kind of weigh in on the legal implications of what Ron DeSantis did. Governor Gavin Newsom of California has called for the Justice Department to investigate DeSantis's move, specifically the Martha's Vineyard move. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is also examining the legality of busing migrants to his state, because hundreds, if not thousands, have been sent to Chicago. Deputy Attorney General of the United States, Leeja Miller, on Friday, in an interview with Bloomberg, said the DOJ is reviewing a number of inquiries and letters it received from the GOP governors transporting migrants, including Newsom's demand for an investigation. But if the DOJ decides not to act, groups and legal experts say there are avenues to take legal action. A core legal concern is whether migrants have given their consent to travel by plane to Massachusetts or bus to Illinois, New York, or Washington. If they're being transported against their will, it calls into question human trafficking statutes. So far, nothing indicates they're being held captive. They're not handcuffed. So it's unlikely that federal criminal trafficking statutes will come into play, according to this one attorney. But if they're being coerced, then it's a little bit more complicated. If someone is told, hey, get on the bus, we're going to Chicago because we have a job for you, and it's not true, that person has been victimized. There's absolutely the possibility of both civil and criminal liability if people were lied to about where they were going, what they were going to get when they got there. It's called fraud. You can't do that to human beings. And coercion gets really messy in this situation because what counts as coercion? These people are clearly in like the most vulnerable position that a human being can be in. They just have the clothes on their back. They don't have any food. They don't have any money. They don't have any influence. They don't have any power. They don't probably, in a lot of cases, don't have any connections. So promising them anything could be considered coercion. Maybe not under the law. I think that it depends on what law you're looking at. And there's a deeper legal analysis to happen there. But people in those situations are easily coerced because they don't have any other options. If they're being offered a free ride and choose it voluntarily, that's one thing. But if they're being pressured or coerced, that's another thing. The question comes down to, again, consent and determining what's voluntary. The problem, though, is that you can't consent to fraud. If someone defrauds you, it's because they told you a lie and wanted you to rely on that lie to your detriment. You can't consent to fraud. That's an element of fraud, is that you relied on their lie and it was to your detriment, you know? The Constitution says the federal government regulates interstate commerce and that states can't restrict interstate commerce. So this is the issue. It's becoming this thing where it's between the states, red states versus blue states, border states versus non-border states, blah, blah, blah. The problem is that states can't control interstate commerce, which includes the movement of people across borders. But the real question is whether migrants have a claim, the individual migrants have a claim against Texas or Florida. And that depends. That depends on the facts. Some people are saying that the immigrants have signed waivers They signed waivers to travel, which indicates consent. It indicates a lack of coercion. But there are questions there too. It's not enough that someone signed a paper. Was it in English? Was it in other languages? I think yes. Can these people read? That's another question. Sorry, not to call them these people. That was insensitive. A lot of people can't read in the world. Fun fact, there is a lot of illiteracy in the United States and throughout the world. Before law school, I worked at a law firm that specialized in work compensation. And we dealt with a lot of Mexican immigrants because they were the ones doing all the manual labor, being taken advantage of, losing literal limbs in the process. And then their employers were trying to say that they couldn't get work compensation because they were undocumented. That's not true in the state of Minnesota. So we represented them, and my job was intake. And it was not uncommon to have people come in who could not read or sign their own names. And so it was on me to explain to them what the document said in Spanish in a way that they could understand and consent to. Because if you can't read it or understand it, you cannot consent to it. If you can't sign it, that's a different thing. You can sign an X. But it doesn't count if you can't understand it. I'm getting worked up. And DeSantis paints it as this thing where they were like, oh, they were told ahead of time where they were going. They signed waivers, everything. They knew what they were getting into. Pritzker, the governor in Illinois, described chaotic scenes of pregnant women, children, and elderly people arriving in the clothes on their backs and having little to eat. And he said that officials are currently examining and interviewing migrants to determine whether they willingly got on the buses. I think the Martha's Vineyard case has some of the strongest elements to it. One person said the director of Harbor Homes Winter Shelter in Martha's Vineyard said in an interview that none of the migrants wanted to go to the island. They've never even heard of Martha's Vineyard. I read that they were told they were going to Boston. So that is a pretty strong indication of fraud. I'm not making any accusations here, just doing some legal analysis based on the facts that I have in front of me. Right. We keep using the word immigrant, but I've heard others describe them as refugees. I think that's valid. It's not valid under the law because the definition of refugee is a slippery little snake. But yeah, I think if you were to just use your humanity and look at why people would leave their homes that they know and love and the people that they love behind to travel miles, the people in Martha's Vineyard, many of them were from Venezuela. They had been some of them had been traveling for 3 months. I read a testimony interview from one guy who said that he just changed his pants for the first time in 3 months because he's been traveling that. You wouldn't go through that unless you were escaping something really fucking awful. And people who don't see that, I don't know what happened to your humanity. I don't know how to help you. You can't be helped. All right, let me look at some of these comments. The thing about refugee status, you have to be in the US to claim it. Makes it rough. It's so wild to me that they never operate with logic or morality and they're applauded. 100%. This is my problem. And I read this, I think it was a New Yorker article recently that was basically like, if you are a we're getting to the point where Republicans, and hi, I know there's a number of them watching on TikTok right now because I keep getting trolly comments. Many Republicans are getting to the point where if you don't denounce them, there's something wrong with you because they are so amoral. They are so unconcerned with the humanity of others. They are so narcissistic and violently so. They are willing to put anyone else in the fucking gutter to better themselves. And if you don't, it's just maddening. It's maddening. That's what I had. On that. I'm mad. I don't have a good transition out of this. We're gonna transition out of this. We're going over to consumption corner. I'm so sorry there's not a better transition. Yeah, someone on TikTok, if the border was open to your grandparents, why do you feel entitled to take that from someone else? A great question. A great question. My family came over here in the 1860s from Germany, what is now Germany. They just came over on a boat, went through Ellis Island, found some land in central Minnesota, never left. My grandfather spoke German for the first 6 years of his life because he lived in a German enclave in central Minnesota that had been speaking German for, I guess, the 50 years, 60 years before he was born. And he didn't learn English until he went to like a school. And it's fucked up that you would think that it should be different for other people. Moving on, it's consumption corner time. Bring up the mood a little bit. I don't have a ton, but I did read that both Don't Worry, Darling and Blonde, the biopic about Marilyn Monroe, drop on Friday. I want to see Blonde because I love Marilyn Monroe, but also specifically because it got an NC-17 rating, and I'm here for it. Let's get that raunch on. I'm ready. Don't Worry, Darling. That's the, Harry Styles, Florence Pugh, etc., Olivia Wilde drama. You know that. I honestly, oh my gosh, Moira, she's trying to eat my cat. I honestly wouldn't give a shit about that movie, but for all of the press drama. The press drama sold it for me. I wouldn't give a shit otherwise. So some people are saying like, oh my gosh, are they going to take it? Like, is it ruining the film? I think not. I think it is only adding to intrigue, and maybe they did it on purpose. And if they did, brilliant PR move. It worked. I don't know where you can watch these things. Blonde will be on Netflix, I believe. Sorry, I'm wrestling my... Moira, you want to see the people? You want to say hi? You're driving me crazy. You're driving me crazy. Do not like me. Oh, gosh. Say hi to the people. Give them a snort. We've reached the end of the broadcast, and it's been an angry one. You got your lips stuck in your teeths? Sometimes my lips get stuck on my teeths. There we go. That's nice. Say hi to the people. Because we're done. Oh, I still got that stupid news article up on here. There we go. Oh. Such a big baby. My sweet girl. It's Monday and you're acting like it. All right. We got to wrap this up because I got a wily little girl here that needs a walk. Did you hear what I said? A walk. She heard that. Okay. Thank you for being here. If you're new here, you can support this channel by super chatting, super stickering, joining my Patreon. What else can you do? Buy my merch. Join my YouTube. Do whatever you want. Thanks for being here. I'm here every morning at 8:30 a.m. live, unless a new edited video is coming out, and then that goes live on my YouTube instead, which should be Wednesday. So I should have a new edited video Wednesday on YouTube. But tomorrow, I'll be back, 8:30 a.m. 8:30 a.m. to discuss the latest news headlines. Thanks so much for being here. We stan a Moira. Morning is right. Monday Moira is in full swing. So I'm going to leave and deal with my child. Yes, my dog child, who I call my child. And sometimes I joke that I gave birth to her. And I hope the Republicans watching find that really annoying. Have a happy Monday. Or not. Have the Monday you have. See you later. Bye.